What's up guys, my name is Ace, and Season 5 for Modern Warfare 3 is here, and with this we got a bit of weapon balancing as well as several miscellaneous changes, including a bunch of changes to the vests in this game. It's really going to be mixing up a lot of my class setups. So in today's video, I'm not going to be covering the weapon balancing, since that does take longer to put all the graphics together and do all the testing to make sure everything changed the way they said it changed and everything. So that will be coming tomorrow. But today, I'm going to be focusing on the miscellaneous changes and bug fixes that took place with this, including all of those vest adjustments and a change to the score streak system as well. Additionally, in the background, I just wanted to show off the new maps as well as the new guns that came with Season 5. I am, of course, playing against bots, just so I can get this video out as soon as possible for you guys, while also showing off the new content quickly. But let's first dive into the miscellaneous changes that they made here. Keeping in mind, I'm not going to go over every single bug fix, because many of the bug fixes, they're just weird edge case things that you probably have never seen anyway, and they don't really impact the gameplay. But the first big thing to point out for Xbox players out there, they have addressed an issue causing poor performance on the Xbox One console, and this is where I'm definitely curious to hear from you guys down below. If you play on an Xbox One and have played since the Season 5 updates, how are things going so far? Did they actually take care of that? Are you still seeing a bunch of stutters, or is that all completely fixed now? Next, for our tracked challenges, before this update, we could only select 5 track challenges at a time. Now, after the update, we can select 10 total track challenges, and I think that's excellent. Then for maps on Invasion, there was apparently an SUV that disappeared at one point, and that has now returned to its intended position. On Terminal, there were some more issues with aerial streaks where they were getting stuck near the lounge area. That should now be resolved. And then on Vista, they did the same thing. There were some areas where the kill streaks were getting stuck. And then they also totally changed up the control zones on Vista. So we're going to be seeing different points entirely there, as well as different spawns for control on Vista. Then after that, let's talk about the score streak change that they made here. If you guys remember, back in Season 4, they added looping and stacking streaks to the game, and what this means is not only could you earn your set of streaks more than once in a single life, so you could keep going through them over and over again as long as you didn't die, on top of that, they made it so if you were getting kills with your score streaks, you would get a pretty significant amount of score for that kill toward your next streak. And that meant you could just chill at the back of your map and call your streaks in, and those streaks would earn you your next set of streaks. And if things went well, you could just stay at the back of the map the entire time, looping through your streaks over and over again without ever having to use your gun. With the Season 5 update, based on the feedback that the community's been providing, and this is feedback I provided as well, what they've done is they've kept looping streaks, so you can still earn your streaks multiple times in the same life, but they are no longer stacking. So streak kills will not contribute to your next streak. And I personally think this is great. If you want to earn your streaks, you can earn them multiple times in the same life, but you've got to do that by actually getting yourself in the fight, on the objective, getting kills, playing the objective. You can't just sit at the back of the map and rely on your streaks to earn your next set of streaks. Now, in addition to this with streaks, since those streaks are no longer stacking, they're also not going to be stacking toward a DNA bomb. And they mentioned in the patch notes, with the looming threat of the DNA bomb now contained, the MGB returns. And they weren't super clear on this, like did they remove the DNA bomb entirely and just bring the MGB back, or are they both now available? And at least based on custom games, which may be inaccurate to how public matches are worked out, but sorry, I'm not good enough to just hop in and grab an MGB within the first hour of the patch being up. But as far as custom games are showing, both the DNA bomb and the MGB are there, but streaks are no longer contributing to earning the DNA bomb. So you have to get a 25 kill streak with your gun to get the DNA, and then a 30 kill streak with the gun will get you the MGB as well, and you can call both of those in. And I think that's totally fair and balanced. If you die on a 25 plus streak, but you don't quite get to the MGB, at least you get that consolation prize of the DNA bomb. And if you manage to get both of them, I don't think that's an unfair reward to be able to kill them all with the DNA bomb and then end the game with the MGB, considering how difficult it is to put together a 30 gun streak and how rare that is as well. And with all that out of the way, now let's move into the big vest changes that took place with this update. It turns out for every vest, aside from the infantry vest, they saw a buff through an additional slot, whether that be like a new lethal, tactical, perk, field upgrade. They just added a slot for everything, again, aside from the infantry vest. And just reading through the notes, I find is a little difficult to really keep track of what's going on and remember what you get and what you don't get with each vest. So I actually threw some graphics together for you guys to make this a lot easier to follow. And just note, anytime there's a green square, that is indicating the new slot that was added with the Season 5 update. Before the Season 5 update, whatever's highlighted in green did not exist for that vest. And let's start it off with the Engineer vest, which just got a lethal slot added to it. So now with Engineer, you get a little bit of everything, including 2 gear slots. So that one's stacked pretty heavy. Next, with the Gunner Vest, which also gives us overkill, so you can use 2 primary weapons. With this one, they added the Boots category, which makes this one so much more viable than it was previously, since boots are so incredibly important in this game if you want to move around the map at all. For the Demolition Vest, they added an additional gear slot on this. So again, we got a little bit of everything, just like with the Engineer Vest. But this time, instead of 2 tacticals, we have 2 lethals. And those lethals and tacticals are resupplying every 25 seconds. After that one, the CCT Comms Vest got a tactical slot added to it, whereas previously you didn't get any equipment at all. Then for the Overkill Vest, we can now use a field upgrade, whereas previously we couldn't. For the Ninja Vest, this one's a pretty big one. We got access to a glove slot now, and this makes much more sense with this vest, because this vest really seems to be geared toward using throwing stars and throwing knives. But throwing stars and throwing knives are best suited to using a glove, whether that's the quick grip glove, so you can get that throw off really quickly, or the ordnance gloves, which give you a better throwing speed and trajectory. It always seemed kind of weird with the Ninja Vest that they really seem to be pushing throwing stars and throwing knives while taking away the one thing that really made those solid. Now you can stack those, which makes the Ninja Vest quite a bit better for those players that like using that equipment. And honestly, just in general, even if you're not using those, it's still nice to have that glove slot added. But after that one, for the Assassin Vest, they added a field upgrade slot, which is a huge buff to this one as well. That was the one big thing that held me back from using the Assassin Vest. I really like having that field upgrade available, and therefore now I actually see myself swapping to this at least a little bit more often. For the Gunslinger Vest, they didn't change a whole lot here. All they did is they added an additional lethal. So we already had access to 1 lethal, but now we get 2 lethal slots as well as 2 tactical slots. So it's stacked even heavier when it comes to using equipment now. For the Mission Control Vest, they added the Boots slot, which again is a huge buff. That's something that prevented me from ever even considering using the Mission Control Vest, since covert sneakers are just that important in this game. For the Modular Assault Rig, we got an extra gear slot, so we can have 2 gear slots now, just like with the Engineer and CCT Comms Vests, so that makes this quite a bit more attractive as well. And then finally, for the Compression Carrier, they just added a tactical slot to this, so you can have a lethal and a tactical, but we still don't get a field upgrade, and we don't get that additional gear slot with this either. And there we go. That wraps it up for all of the vest changes that took place with the Season 5 update. And like I said, this is definitely going to mix things up a little bit. It seems like the goal with this was to put more emphasis on the perks that are attached to the vests rather than the limitations of the slots. I feel like people really settled into their preferred vests, and I'm definitely one of those people. I just use the Engineer Vest on pretty much everything, simply because it gave me everything that I typically wanted. I don't really care for a lethal slot. I love having 2 gear options, and 2 tacticals is a great bonus as well. So I just really didn't see any reason to branch outside of the Engineer Vest. It did everything I really wanted a vest to do for me. And while I did feel like sometimes I was missing out on some of the cool perks that the other vests had, I really didn't want to sacrifice my class structure that I preferred in order to gain those additional benefits. Whereas now, I'm absolutely going to be branching out and playing around with more vests because they're far less limiting to your slots than they were previously. And with that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video on all of the important changes that took place with the Season 5 updates that weren't weapon balancing. Again, just a reminder, tomorrow I will have the very detailed breakdown of all of the before and after changes with the weapon balancing that took place, including the big nerf to my baby, the Core 45. They absolutely destroyed that pistol. But this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about Season 5 so far? Again, if you guys are on Xbox One, please let me know how the game is playing after the updates. And then for the rest of you, I'm just curious, how do you feel about all these vest changes that took place, as well as these score streak changes? Are you guys happy to see these adjustments, or not so much? If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.